All right, let's talk AI. In this world, there's always this epic battle going on between just raw, unadulterated power and really smart, modern efficiency. And today, we're putting two absolute titans right in the ring. The reigning champ, the RTX 4090, against the brand new challenger, the RTX 5070.
So that's the big question, right? For your AI projects, what do you really need? Is it the brute force, take no prisoners approach of the 4090? Or is it the clever, efficient design of the 5070? Let's dive in and find out. So here's how we're going to frame this showdown. In one corner, you've got the RTX 4090. This is the established champion, the card that has just completely dominated the high-end market for a while now. And in the other corner, you have the RTX 5070, the modern challenger, bringing some brand new tech to the fight, probably at a much more accessible price point. And this right here, this gets to the heart of it. We are looking at two totally different design philosophies. The 4090 was built with literally one goal in mind: uncompromising power. It was made to be the absolute performance leader, no questions asked. The 5070, on the other hand, is all about strategic efficiency. It's positioning itself as the tech innovator. Okay, let's start with the king himself, the king of raw power, the RTX 4090. I mean, this thing is built on the Ada Lovelace architecture, and it is an absolute beast, designed to just crush any single workload you can possibly throw at it. And hey, don't just take my word for it. Tom's Hardware, they know their stuff. They called the 4090 the indisputable performance leader, and for good reason. It just completely rewrote the rulebook on what a consumer GPU could even do. Now, a huge reason for the 4090's dominance is its massive 24 gigabytes of VRAM. You gotta think of VRAM as a giant workbench for your AI models. The more space you have, the bigger and more complex the models you can build before you just run out of room and hit a wall. And this is the other half of that power equation, over 1,000 gigabytes per second of memory bandwidth. You can think of this like a massive superhighway for data. It lets the GPU get fed information incredibly fast, which is absolutely critical for those really demanding AI tasks. So where does all this horsepower come from? Well, you just have to look at the specs. We're talking about the massive AD102 chip, over 16,000 CUDA cores, which are kind of like the GPU's general-purpose workhorses, and 512 fourth-gen tensor cores, which are specialized processors that just dramatically speed up all that AI math. It all comes together to create this performance monster. Okay, now let's meet the challenger, the RTX 5070. See, this GPU isn't about brute force. It's about fighting smarter, and it's got a brand new bag of tricks to prove it. The 5070's secret weapon is something called FP4 quantization. This technique is a complete game changer because what it does is it dramatically shrinks AI models. It's kind of like compressing them, but with almost no loss in quality. And this is a huge deal because the whole industry is moving toward running these powerful models right on our local consumer hardware, and techniques like FP4 are what make that possible. And here's what that actually looks like in the real world. A model that would normally need over 23 gigs of VRAM can now run in under 10. You know what that means? It means the 5070, with its 12 gigs of memory, can suddenly run models that used to be exclusive to behemoths like the 4090. This is all about next-level efficiency. But hey, the 5070 is no one-trick pony. Its new Blackwell architecture is a serious upgrade. We're talking 5th-generation tensor cores that are even faster for AI, next-gen GDDR7 memory for better efficiency, and a new dedicated AI management processor, or AMP. Think of this AMP like an intelligent traffic cop, optimizing how AI tasks are scheduled and run on the GPU. It is a thoroughly modern and very, very clever design. All right, so we've met the fighters. Now it's time to put them head to head. Let's see how their specs really stack up when you put them side by side. Okay, first up, VRAM. And here, the 4090 is the undisputed heavyweight champion. It's got double the memory. That 24 gigabytes is just a massive advantage if you're training the biggest, most complex AI models out there. And it's a pretty similar story with memory bandwidth. The 4090's wider memory bus just gives it that raw speed advantage. We're talking over 1,000 gigabytes per second. That helps it feed its absolutely massive core count way faster, especially when you're using large batch sizes. All right, here's the tail of the tape. You can see the 4090 clearly leads in the raw numbers, right? CUDA cores, bandwidth, memory bus, it's just bigger. But look closer at the 5070's column.
It has that absolutely crucial FP4 support. And look at the power draw, around 250 watts versus 450. This is the core trade-off we're talking about: raw power versus modern features and efficiency.
So, the big question, what does all of this actually mean for you? Let's translate these specs into some practical advice and figure out which one of these GPUs is the right fit for your specific workflow. So, which GPU is the one for you? It really just boils down to what you're doing. If you're training huge, massive models from scratch, you absolutely need the VRAM and bandwidth of the 4090. There's just no substitute. But if you're mostly running the latest quantized models, or if power consumption and your budget are a real concern, the 5070 is definitely the smarter choice.
Okay, let's get even more specific. For the real heavy lifting, like large-scale training from the ground up or really complex stable diffusion work, the 4090's power is exactly what you need. But for things like running local large language models really efficiently or just experimenting with the latest and greatest in model compression, the 5070 is the smarter, more forward-looking pick. And of course, if you really want to dive deep into this stuff and compare every spec on even more GPUs for your AI needs, the team over at bestgpusforai.com has a fantastic, really comprehensive guide. We've gone ahead and put the link in the description for you. So after all that, where do we land? It really all comes back to that very first question, doesn't it? The raw, untamed power of the champion versus the smart, strategic efficiency of the challenger. So, who's the winner? Well, for raw, uncompromising power, for the biggest jobs, the RTX 4090 is still the king. No doubt about it. But for smart efficiency and, future-proofing your setup for the next wave of AI, the RTX 5070 is the clear choice. This whole showdown raises a much bigger question about the future of AI development itself. As these models get more and more sophisticated, are we always going to be chasing more raw power? Or is it the smarter, more efficient hardware and clever software? Is that the key that's going to truly unlock the next generation of AI? That is the real battle to watch.